Yeah, this is what they want. They want to see hitters. They want to see trap stars. They want to see robbers. They want to see killers.
Off the record, powered by Amadeus.
They just want to see me and my niggas.
OTR's in the building. Let's do this. OTR.
Yeah, this is what they want. They want to see hitters. They want to see trap stars. They want to see robbers. They want to see killers.
Off
They
the
just want
record,
to see
powered by
me and my
Amadeus.
niggas. How we living? Hey.
All right, everyone, we're back, and I promised you guys a special guest, and he's here. His name's Dave. Very, very good friend of mine. We grew up together. I respect him and love him like he's my own brother, and I'm glad to have him on the show. So, Dave, say hi to the people and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Claudia, for that wonderful introduction, and thank you guys for having me. My name is David Forster. I'm a youth coordinator at the Jane and Finch Boys and Girls Club. I'm also a community support worker for the TDSB, Toronto District School Board. I work in some of the most high-risk communities in Toronto. I've worked in Jane and Finch for the last 11 years. I've worked in every hood in Jane and Finch you could think of: Driftwood, Lane, Connections. And it's become a part of my life. It's become a part of my work. It's inspired me to do things that I do on an everyday basis, and it's inspired me to do things that I never thought I would do. You know what I mean? And for me, I never thought that I would be somebody that would have sat there and ended up working in Jane and Finch. I went to school to become a police officer. You know, I got into the work in Jane and Finch to kind of pad my resume to become a police officer, working in the community and stuff like that. And I literally fell in love with the community and never left. So that's what I do every day. Some days are harder than others. You know, there's a lot of violence in our community, but there's a lot of beautiful things that goes on in our communities too that doesn't get as much publicity as some of the negative things that goes on. But you can't talk about one without the other. So whatever I could do to sit there and enlighten people with the work that we do, that's what I'm here for. So again, thank you guys for having me.
No problem. Thank you for being here, man. We appreciate it. So we're gonna jump right into it. Warren.
Yeah, let's get into it. So Dave, what do you feel are some of the challenges today when it comes to education at the high risk communities that you serve?
It's funny because there's multi-tiered issues with the education system, and it's not just on the institution side. There's a big divide in what happens in the institution, but also, you know, what happens in the home. And there's not a lot of the times where there's communication going back and forth. So I always tell my parents this when they talk to me. I sit there and I say to them, if you allow the institution to do what they want with your kids, the institution will do what they want with your kids. You feel me? So when we sit here and we talk about it, the household has to be involved with education. You know what I mean? Everybody on this chat and everybody listening knows that this education system wasn't set up that look like you and I, right? So if we're not sitting there and guiding our young people through it, they're going to fall through the cracks. You know what I mean? And we can't look at the institution to pick them up through those cracks. The institution is going to continue to do what the institution does, right? When we were younger, we had people that were involved in that we would gravitate to that were a part of the institutions. I bet everybody on this chat and everybody in that can hear my voice can sit there and say, yo, there was one teacher that sat there and kind of took a little bit more stock in their education and wanted them to do well. You know what I mean? And I think in a lot of ways that's missing in the system these days. But also too, I think that it's not on the institution to have to always do that. I think that the home has to provide those infrastructures and allow our kids to understand that education is important and that there's a strong support system coming from the home. So it's multi-tiered. This system we understand is broken. You know what I mean? And if we don't sit there and hold the people in power to account, they will do what they want. And it's getting better now. There's a lot of stuff going on within the education system when it comes to anti-Black racism and anti-Indigenous racism and, equity and equality and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it wasn't okay to talk about these things within the education system until it was okay to talk about these things in the education system. You know what I mean? So these are things that are new that really people have been talking about for years, but we're afraid to say out loud, right? And that's a problem all in itself.
Okay. Earlier on in the show, Warren and I had mentioned a few things. One of them that we both agreed on was misrepresentation within the institutions. How do you feel about that in terms of misrepresentation, culture-wise?
It's tough because I feel like a lot of the kids that are in, a lot of these highly visible minority neighborhoods are going to schools that are and being taught by people that don't look like them. You know what I mean? And it's really hard to sit there and see yourself as a teacher, as a police officer, as a guidance counselor, whatever, when everybody around you sits there and doesn't take a lot of interest in these things. You know what I mean? And the institution doesn't sit there and feel like it's important to sit there and have people in these positions that look like you. I think that there is a strong push for that change now, again, with all the stuff going on about, the changes in society and what society is looking like now, and having people that in positions that reflect society be in high level positions. And that's going to be something that you will see change in as the years go on. And I think it's something that will continue to happen. But again, like when we look at the system as it stands right now, as we are on this call, there's a lot of change that needs to happen. You know what I mean? And it's funny that the changes are happening now and started to happen now when an uprising has happened. You know what I mean? Why didn't this start before the uprising? You know what I mean? Why wasn't this more of a thing to push before the uprising and stuff like that in the communities and stuff? I think sometimes we gotta sit there and ask ourselves those questions. You know what I mean? And kind of think deeper. It's great that it's happening now, and it's great that there is all this, and everybody wants to have an anti-Black racism committee at their work, and they're building all these new positions at all these institutions to include equity and diversity and all this great stuff. But why wasn't this a thing 2 years ago? Why wasn't it a thing 3 years ago? You know what I mean? Why is it a thing now? You know what I mean? So, I mean, it's great that it's happening. It's great that it's happening, but sometimes I feel like it's happening because it's being forced, not because out of just sheer understanding that these are things that need to be happening. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
What challenges did you face in school?
Oh my goodness. Man. It's crazy because I grew up upper middle class, right? Like I grew up in an area, Mississauga, where there wasn't a lot of violence. There wasn't a lot of poverty. You know what I mean? I had almost everything I needed for the most part growing up. But it's funny because when I talk to my kids and I tell them, hey, listen, I had run-ins with the police too. I had issues, in school too. They sit there and they look at me like I'm crazy. You know what I mean? I remember being at the bus stop in grade 11 and a cop driving by. I'm standing with my girlfriend at the time, and he, does a U and comes to the bus stop and asks me if I'm harassing her. You know what I mean? And It's something that, I remember to this day, because the crazy part about it is that he was a visible minority himself. He was an Asian guy. So I'm sitting there going, what the hell? You know what I mean? But you think about it now and it's just like, these are all things that shaped the way that I looked at life back then. You know what I mean? I was a lot more of a hothead, a little bit more loose with the tongue, a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more all these things. And it was shaped because of certain things that I dealt with at the time. So when our young people nowadays are hot-headed and loose with the tongue and all this type of stuff in school and stuff like that, I get it. You know what I mean? Because they are shaped by what society is portraying to them and showing them how they should be and how they should react to certain different types of interactions with peoples of authority, like police, like principals, like teachers. You know what I mean? And a lot of the times those interactions aren't good. You know what I mean? So in my upbringing, I always looked at the way that I grew up in when I went to school was that there were people there that cared and wouldn't let me fail, even when I decided that it was something that I wanted to do. You know what I mean? They wouldn't let me, and that's why I'm in the position that I'm in now, to be able to pay it back to these kids now, because I'm in a position where somebody did it for me. You know what I mean? Right. And that's super important for me. It's something that I will always do, regardless of what position that I'm in, because I see the effects when people don't sit there and take stocks in the understanding of what these kids do. You know what I mean? And take stock in their education and want them to do well. You know what I mean? That's when the streets come in, and the streets will nurture them. The streets will take care of them. You know what I mean? Because the village didn't, so the streets will. So yeah.
Right, and that makes sense. Now, just and touching a little bit about that and challenges that you faced while you were in school and things like that. I remember a situation happened with you at school in terms of being diagnosed a certain way, and I wanted to know if you're okay with sharing that with us, and how did and what happened, what help came to that allowed you to get out of that situation, or that helped that situation. I remember you told me that your mom played a very big role with that. So if you don't mind, let us know how that went about and what happened.
It's funny. Under all my degrees and diplomas and stuff that I have in my room, I also have my transcript of my diagnosis right underneath it. You know what I mean? To sit there and remind me why I do what I do every day, and why all the stuff that I've done is so important. But I was having issues in a class. I think it was an English class, and I would have my teacher would sit there and she would be like, Dave, we're in the class, and when I'm asking the questions and stuff on the board and all that kind of stuff, you're great. Like, you're answering questions, you're engaged, da 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 da. And then I put it down on paper, and you fail a test. What's going on? And I simply said to her, on paper, it looks different. And she sat there and said, really? I'm like, yeah, when you're saying it to me, it translates differently. When it's on paper, it takes me a little bit more time to process it. And then by the time I process it and get it through my head and it sinks in, I'm out of time. I feel like I have to rush. So I'll skip over stuff and I'll leave things out, and I feel like I'm always rushed. So it bothers me and I get anxious, and I just don't want to continue to do it. So she goes, okay, so you know what? She set me up with my guidance counselor. So I go to my guidance counselor now, and he's getting ready to get me assessed. You know what I mean? And I go through all the protocols. I meet with the shrink. The shrink comes in. We have like 3 or 4 sessions. And at the end of it, I was diagnosed as a dyslexic, which I definitely agree with. And, I've learned how to use that diagnosis to my advantage now. But I was diagnosed as dyslexic, and this was, I think, in grade 10. They said I was reading at a grade 4 level, grade 4 or grade 5, and that I should go to a trade school. And, if you're a Mississauga cat, we all know about West Credit. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's where I was being, that's what the school guidance counselor had asked for me to go, had sat there and recommended that I go. But understanding the system, they can't do anything unless your parents sign off on it. So they had to bring my mom in, and mom sat down, and mom sat there and said, he's not going nowhere. He's fine. He's just lazy. Give him the support that he needs, and he'll be fine. So mom came in, and again, understanding the system can't do anything unless your parents sign off on it, especially when it comes to moving your school, doing anything when it comes to IEPs, independent learning programs, anything like that. Everything has to be signed off because they're legal documents, right? So because it's a legal document, they can be sued. They don't want none of that. So basically, she came in, she told them no, and they sat there and she just said, listen, just give them the support. And they had to give me the support, and they supported me all through school. It followed me all through college and university. And because they had to do that, it set me up for the rest of my learning, right? I still have that same IEP now. Whereas if I need extra time with anything, even in my personal schooling and whatever, they have to allow me to have that. And if I go to a job, they have to allow me extra time because I have a diagnosis. So they have to sit there and honor that. So she played a huge role. You know what I mean? And I think that's what's missing in a lot of our youth nowadays. Yeah, the parents and stuff kind of sit there and just allow the kids to just figure it out for themselves, allow the institution to figure it out for the kids. And that's not conducive to our kids being most successful. We all know that when kids are most successful, the institution and the parents are working together, right? And when they're not, we have issues. So yeah, that's what that is.
I used to be a client for Amadeus, and Amadeus they help in some of the capacities they help their clients. They help their clients with education while they're incarcerated. And one of my teachers, she was like really hands on, and she helped me a lot. And I think that's what kind of pushed me to get some of my my college courses that I got. Given your professional background and your personal experience, what do you think is needed to foster a better education for our youth?
If it was up to me, we would just blow up the whole education system, period, and start all over again. I'm gonna be totally candid about it, and this is the way that pays my bills, right? Like it's a totally archaic system. When we were in school, the education system was out of date. So you could imagine what it is now, right? This system is white centric European understanding, and it has never been changed at all when you think about education and where education was in 1965, 1975, 1985, 1995, 2005, 2015, 2000 and beyond. It hasn't changed. They are doing the exact same stuff. So when you look at the way that the institution has to change and what these kids need, it has to sit there and reflect the kids that it is serving. You know what I mean? I know it sounds really simple, and I know it's really simplistic, but it has to. You know, I want to, like, let me give you an example. You're looking at music classes now where they're still playing guitar, teaching kids how to play the guitar and teaching kids still how to play the recorder when we were back in school. You know what I mean? In 2021. Nah, man, you guys need to have an engineering studio in there. You guys need to have a booth. You guys need to teach these kids how to become engineers. You know what I mean? You guys need to teach these kids how to create music on their own. Why are we still teaching them the recorder? It doesn't make sense. To understand where these kids are in their life, their music is more than 50% of the entertainment that they take in every day. And we are sitting here looking at them and sitting there saying, okay, well, we're just going to sit there and we're not even going to honor that. We're not even going to make that a part of their education. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't.
You know what I mean? So when we're talking about it, there has to be some sort of understanding where it's like the education system has to reflect the kids that they're serving. And if it doesn't, you're going to continue to have kids fall through the crack, period.
Yeah. And it's funny that you mentioned that. I seen someone put up a post on Instagram the other day with the recorder, and their caption was, "Please tell me what the hell this did for my education."
Didn't do anything.
It didn't do anything.
It didn't do anything. And the fact that, again, and what I'm saying, Rick, is the fact that they're still doing it now, you know what I mean, is the problem. And you find that the TDSB sits there and looks at you know, education in a way where they are trying to now be more inclusive when it comes to our young Black people, be more inclusive when it comes to anti-Black racism and equity and equality, but they will not touch the system that is breeding the inequities and the inequalities and the racism. Does that make sense? You know what I mean? Like they're trying to dismantle it from within, but they can't, because the overarching structure of it is racist, is anti-Black, is all of the stuff that they're trying to sit there and say they are not. So you're not willing to touch the structure of the problem, but you're trying to, knock down a brick here, a brick there, but the structure still remains the same. So what are we really trying to do? this is what I always sit there and say to people. What are we really trying to do if we're not willing to even look at the education system and see the inequalities in the teachings that we are teaching our kids? You know what I mean? It is what it is.
Some powerful stuff, man. Some powerful stuff. Dave, always appreciate your energy, man. You know what I mean? And from day one, we've always had a good mutual respect for each other because we know what it is, man. We've been through it, and I just appreciate everything that you're doing now. And we appreciate having you on the show. Amazing stuff. I'm sure listeners are gonna be excited about this one after they hear it. Warren, shoot, like Dave came in here and he killed it, man. Like I don't know what else to say to that, but he did an amazing job. I was glad having him on here. And, you know, for all the listeners, you know, he dropped his email. So if you guys want to get in contact with him, chop it up with him a little bit more, you guys can do that. Also, keep a lookout for Foster Sports and Entertainment. And yeah, we're going to be out. This was a good one. I really appreciated this one.
Yeah, but before we wrap up, I just want to send some shout outs to some very special people who made this all happen. First and foremost, shout out Tina, the founder of Amadeus. This is her vision, and hopefully we're doing it justice. You know what I'm saying? Shout out Kim, one of the best managers I've ever worked for. It's her hard work that you don't see that's putting this all together. Shout out to the boy Nico, our engineer, putting all the sounds and everything together, you know, the mad scientist behind the track. Shout out to the boy Caldrick. Thank you, brother, for sharing the mic with me. This has been a crazy experience. I'm glad that I got to share some of my story with everybody. OTR again is a platform that was meant to change the minds of all those who listened, you know what I'm saying? Of sharing the perspective of guys who've been through it, and hopefully it resonates with guys who've been through it as well. And if you haven't been through it, then hopefully it can change your perspective. You can see what we've been through, you know? I'm rambling.
Know what it is, voice from the inside out.
Hit us up on any one of our handles. Warren, you know,
yeah, you already know. So hit us up on Instagram at Amadeus TO. So at Amadeus, AMADEUSZTO. Or you can email us at otr@amadeus.ca. Yeah, man, you already know what it is, OTR. Time to get into our featured artisan song. This one right here is long overdue. I mean, yeah, we should have done this the first fucking episode, Caldrick? See, now if you've been paying attention, you know that that's a song we've been bumping in our title track since day one. So you already know what it is. Big up the Tall Twins. Rest in peace, 40 double low Tyrone. Rest in peace, man. OTR is one of those platforms that tries to give a voice to the streets, you know what I'm saying? And me and Caldrick, we wanna thank everyone for listening and taking the time out to give us your ear and to hear the perspective from guys who've been through it. And hopefully we can spark some conversations and change some perspectives out there, you know what I'm saying? Yo, man, this is Images by the Tall Up Twins. Rest in peace, 40 double O. Salute you, young king.
Yeah, this what they want. They want to see hitters. They want to see trap stars. They want to see robbers. They want to see killers. They just want to see me and my niggas. How we living? Hey, man, this what they want, right? You want to see killers. You want to see hitters. You want to see bosses. You want to see demons. You want to see how we living. So come take a look at the picture. Come take a look at the image. So come take a look at the picture. Come take a look at the image. Yeah, see, I had a vision to chase me a million. I gotta go get it, and I am not quitting. I fresh out the box, whoa. My brother is locked still. This money's my destiny. This sexy right next to me. All this pressure, so much weight upon my shoulders. I can't let this shit slow me down, making them nervous. I know that you get butterflies every time I'm around. Spinning your block, and I'm gripping this ladder. You know that it holds 30 rounds. Up in the booth, and we stuck after hours. You know I'm still gripping this pound. If you're doing your third and get trapped in the station, you better not go make a sound. Put my all in the shit. There's only one way, no nigga, no turning around. I don't need a hitter, but I got me a a twin, you know that we both born around. So I gotta go double up. Someone pass me a double cup and watch me count these numbers up. Yeah, this what they wanna see hitters. They wanna see trap stars, they wanna see robbers, they wanna see killers. They just wanna see me and my niggas, how we living. Ay, I had the gas, I ain't clicking no brakes, no time for mistakes. I know that I'm great, I know that you hate, I see that your face. He fuck with the jakes, he can't stay in my lane, can't rock with them niggas, no. And I rock for my hitters though, when you hold it, we let it go. And I'm here to stay, let them know. I don't think that they hear me though, so it's time that these niggas must feel. With my youngins and we doing them drills. Like call up you a rapper, nigga, just chill. Going in for the kill like you Bill. Nigga, I need me them bills. Not satisfied into a meal. I'm side to the woods, fuck a deal. Yeah, this what they wanna see hitters. They wanna see trap stars, they wanna see robbers, they wanna see killers. They just wanna see me and my niggas, how we living. Ay. Yeah, this what they wanna see hitters. They wanna see trap stars, they wanna see robbers, they wanna see killers. They just wanna see me and my niggas, how we living.